March is Women's History Month, and the Sweetwater County Historical Museum is joining institutions that include the Library of Congress, the Smithsonian, and the National Endowment for the Humanities in commemorating the observance and celebration of the vital role of women in American history. In 2019, Christine A. Williams and Brigida R. Blasi, the museum's former executive director, published Sweetwater Women, which profiles the lives of over 100 women who figured prominently in Sweetwater County history. Eleanor Pruitt Stewart and her husband Clyde Stewart homesteaded near Burnt Fork in southern Sweetwater County. Her writings about rural life, Letters of a Woman Homesteader, and Letters on an Elk Hunt are still top sellers. The 1979 feature film Heartland, starring Conchata Ferrell and Rip Torn, is based on her life. Catherine Chusart was Sweetwater County's first female commissioner, serving in that capacity from 1953 to 1961. A resident of Superior, she taught school there for 11 years. Ray Delbert and Sel J. Varley's parents took over a little filling station and travel center at Point of Rocks, east of Rock Springs, in 1945 when she was 6 years old. In those days, Point of Rocks kids attended school in Superior, 15 miles away, and traffic was so slow in the winter on Old Highway 30 that children could ride their bicycles on the highway without fearing cars. 75 years later, Point of Rocks is still home to Ray Dell and her husband Ed. Once an office worker for the Union Pacific Coal Company in Rock Springs, Dorothy Krasavec received her Silver Pilot's wings as a member of the WASPs, the Women's Air Force Service Pilots, at Avenger Field in Texas in 1944, the first woman from southwest Wyoming to graduate the program. As a young girl, Elizabeth J. Liesel Stern Scheinberg and her family escaped the horrific persecution of Jews in Nazi Germany and settled in the United States. Later, she married Ed Scheinberg, and for 60 years the couple lived in Rock Springs, where they operated the Rock Springs Laundry and Dry Cleaners. Elizabeth Frances Bean Crouch and her husband Hugh first lived in the coal camp of Dines, north of Rock Springs, and later moved to a new home west of Green River. At that time, racial discrimination was front and center. One cafe in town had a sign declaring "No colored trade solicited," and the Isis Theater had 2 rows of seats in the back for black people. Elizabeth refused to comply. She sat where she chose, and the ISIS's policy of segregated seating came to a quiet end. Born in Rock Springs in 1889, Florabelle Muir, the daughter of Scottish immigrants, graduated the University of Washington and went on to an extraordinary career as a journalist, crime reporter, and gossip columnist for, among others, 2 Salt Lake City newspapers, where she was the first female reporter for both, the Chicago Herald-Examiner, the San Francisco Journal, the New York Daily News, Daily Variety, and the Hollywood Herald. In Los Angeles in 1949, she was struck on the backside by a ricocheting bullet during an attempt on the life of mobster Mickey Cohen. 3 others were also wounded, including one who later died. According to reports, Muir's first thought was to get a photographer on scene to get a picture of the bruise caused by the ricochet. Edith Misawa Sonata was a prominent Green River businesswoman. Born in Green River in 1921 to Morihiro and Toku Sonata, who operated a laundry, Edith owned and operated Edith's Beauty Studio on North 1st East Street for nearly 40 years. She retired in 1986. In this photo of the Sonata family taken during the 1920s, Edith is seated on her wheeled horse in front of her mother. These are only a few of the remarkable women portrayed in Sweetwater Women. The book is published through the Sweetwater County Museum Foundation, a nonprofit organization that exists to support the county museum. All proceeds from the book sale go directly to the foundation. It's available at the museum on Flaming Gorge Way in Green River and online at Amazon.com.